The deep space research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the Carina Nebula, its sensors probing the cosmic dust for signs of habitable worlds. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling purple and blue gases outside. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her that the universe rarely gave up its secrets easily, but nothing could have prepared her for what they were about to discover. Dr. Chen, we're picking up some unusual energy signatures. Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice crackled through the ship's comm system. They're like nothing we've seen before. Sarah made her way to the bridge, where holographic displays showed a pattern of energy waves that seemed to defy the laws of physics. As she studied the readings, the ship's AI flagged something else, a massive object moving through subspace, heading directly toward them. The Horizon wasn't alone anymore. The object emerged from subspace in a flash of crystalline light that momentarily blinded their sensors. When the displays cleared, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. A vessel nearly 20 times the size of the Horizon hung in space before them, its hull covered in what appeared to be living metal that shifted and flowed like liquid mercury. Broadcasting standard first contact protocols on all frequencies, Communications Officer Zhang announced, his fingers dancing across the haptic interface. No response yet. Captain Maya Williams stood from her command chair, her weathered face set in determined lines. Keep broadcasting. Dr. Chen, what can you tell me about that ship? Before Sarah could answer, the alien vessel's surface rippled, and dozens of smaller craft emerged from its liquid metal hull. They moved with impossible precision, surrounding the Horizon in a perfect geometric formation. Their technology, Sarah whispered, it's beyond anything we theorized possible. The energy readings suggest they've mastered zero-point energy manipulation. They're centuries, maybe millennia ahead of us. The first message from the aliens came not through conventional communications, but directly into their minds. A telepathic broadcast that left everyone on the bridge gasping. Primitive vessels are not permitted in Nexary space. Your presence here violates Imperial law. Prepare for inspection and cataloging. Captain Williams straightened her uniform. Send a response. We are a peaceful research vessel from Earth, seeking only to explore and learn. We mean no harm, and we're unaware of any territorial claims in this region. The response was immediate and crushing. Your species' ignorance does not excuse your transgression. The Nexary Empire claims all space within 5,000 light-years of our core worlds. Your presence here is an act of aggression. That's impossible, Sarah protested. We've been exploring this region for decades. There have never been any signs of claimed territory. Your inability to detect our markers demonstrates your technological inadequacy. The penalty for unauthorized exploration of Imperial space is immediate confiscation of all vessels and technology, followed by neural scanning of all crew members. The smaller craft began closing in. Captain Williams ordered shields raised, but everyone knew their defenses would be useless against technology this advanced. Sarah watched in horror as brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the alien ships, not to destroy the Horizon, but to disable it systematically. They're not just after the ship, Sarah realized, analyzing the pattern of their attack. They want our knowledge, our understanding of the universe. They want to know how we think. The Horizon's engines went dark. Life support switched to emergency power. As the ship's systems failed one by one, Captain Williams made a decision that would change the course of human history. Computer, initiate Protocol Omega. Authorization Williams-001. The ship's AI responded immediately. Protocol Omega confirmed. Initiating emergency quantum burst transmission to Earth Command. All sensor data, first contact protocols, and tactical information will be transmitted. Warning. Power requirements will leave the ship without life support in 15 minutes. The captain turned to her crew. We may not survive this encounter, but humanity will know what happened here. They'll be ready. Sarah watched as the quantum burst transmitter drew every last bit of power from the ship's systems. The temperature on the bridge began to drop as life support failed. The alien ships were nearly upon them now, their liquid metal hulls reflecting the light of distant stars. The last thing Sarah saw before the Nexeri boarding parties breached the hull was the confirmation that their message had been received by Earth Command. The Horizon's crew might be lost, but humanity would not face this threat unprepared. As neural probes pierced their minds and the Nexeri began their brutal extraction of human knowledge, none of them could have predicted how their sacrifice would spark a war that would shatter the Empire's assumptions about humanity's potential. The Nexeri thought they were dealing with primitive beings. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. In the darkness of space, the Horizon's final transmission raced toward Earth, carrying with it both a warning and the seeds of humanity's response to this new threat. The game of survival was about to begin, and humanity would have to evolve quickly if it wanted to survive. 6 months after the Horizon incident, Earth's orbital shipyards blazed with activity. The quantum burst transmission had changed everything. Humanity had 97 days until the first Nexeri ships would reach the edge of the solar system. 97 days to prepare for an enemy that could reshape matter at will and read minds. Admiral James Chen paced the command center of Luna Base, his sister's final transmission planning in his mind. The neural scan data the Nexeri had stolen from the Horizon's crew told them everything about human technology, tactics, and conventional military thinking. But James was betting humanity's survival on something the Nexeri couldn't comprehend: human improvisation. "Show me Project Hydra," he ordered. The holographic display shifted to show a seemingly ordinary asteroid belt mining vessel. But this ship, like thousands of others being modified in secret, was far from ordinary. Dr. Kira Patel, the project's lead engineer, stepped forward. "The Nexeri expect warships, Admiral. Their scans of the Horizon showed them our military capabilities. But they never got to see how our mining operations work." A smile played at the corners of her mouth. "Or how we've modified them." The display zoomed in on the mining vessel's industrial-grade plasma cutters, originally designed to slice through asteroid rock. "We've reversed the magnetic containment fields," Kira explained. "When triggered, they don't cut, they implode. One hit from this, and their liquid metal hulls will collapse in on themselves." But weapons were only part of humanity's desperate innovation. In labs across the globe, scientists had worked to turn humanity's greatest weakness, our primitive technology, into an unexpected advantage. "The Quantum Ghost Protocol is ready," announced Dr. Marcus Wong, head of the Cyber Warfare Division. He gestured to a bank of deliberately antiquated computers. "The Nexeri use quantum entanglement for instantaneous communication. They'll try to hack our systems, but you can't hack what isn't there. Our ships will be running on modified 1980s technology. No quantum circuits, no AI, nothing they can predict or control." James nodded grimly. "And the Faraday suits?" "Ready for mass production," Kira confirmed. "Simple copper mesh woven into our spacesuits. Old technology, but it should disrupt their telepathic communication. They'll have to fight us blind." The preparations weren't limited to technology. Every human settlement from Mars to Europa was being transformed into a trap. The Nexeri would find no easy conquest here, no simple submission to their superior might. Instead, they would face an enemy that had turned its entire civilization into a weapon. In the asteroid belt, mining charges were being replaced with nuclear devices. On Mars, the massive dust storms that had once been a terraforming obstacle were now being weaponized, seeded with microscopic razor-sharp particles that would tear through any ship that tried to enter the atmosphere. Even Earth's orbital debris field, long considered a navigation hazard, was being transformed into a defensive web of deadly shrapnel. But the true masterpiece of human desperation was Project Phoenix. Deep beneath the lunar surface, in chambers carved by boring machines, humanity had built its ultimate contingency plan. "If we lose Earth," James explained to the gathered military leaders, "we don't run, we don't surrender, we trigger Phoenix." The holographic display showed thousands of sleeper ships, hidden in underground silos across the solar system. Each ship carries 10,000 colonists in suspended animation, along with complete databases of human knowledge and culture. They'll launch in random directions, using stolen Nexari sensor data to plot courses through uncharted space. And the Nexari won't be able to track them, Kira added, because each ship's drive system is different. Some use solar sails, others use nuclear pulse propulsion, a few even use gravitational slingshots. No pattern to follow. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Even if Earth fell, humanity would survive, scattered across the galaxy like seeds in the wind. And each colony ship carried the plans for every weapon and countermeasure they'd developed. Any human settlement the Nexari found would be just as dangerous as Earth. As the final days before contact ticked away, humanity's transformation continued. The species that had once dreamed of peaceful first contact was becoming something else, something that mixed primitive survival instincts with desperate innovation. They were learning to think like guerrilla fighters on a cosmic scale. In his private moments, James wondered what his sister would think of what they'd become. The Nexari had wanted to know how humans thought, how they solved problems. They were about to find out in the worst possible way. The first alarm sounded exactly on schedule. Long-range sensors detected the Nexari fleet entering the Kuiper Belt. Humanity's 97 days were up. Now they would find out if desperation truly was the mother of invention. As battle stations sounded across the solar system, James sent out one final message to all commands. Remember the horizon. Remember what they did to our people. And show them exactly what humanity does when backed into a corner. The art of desperation was about to be demonstrated on a galactic stage, and its first audience would be an empire that had gravely underestimated the creatures they'd dismissed as primitive. The Nexari fleet emerged from subspace at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, their liquid metal ships rippling with confident precision. The fleet's overseer, High Commander Vextal, observed the primitive solar system through multiple layers of quantum perception. The neural data extracted from the Horizon's crew had prepared them for everything they might encounter. Or so they thought. The first sign that something was wrong came when their quantum scanners detected nothing. No ships, no defense platforms, no quantum signatures of any kind. According to their most sophisticated sensors, the solar system was completely empty. Impossible, Vextal growled, their crystalline thoughts rippling through the fleet's hive mind. Their neural data showed extensive orbital infrastructure. The answer came in the form of a massive explosion that consumed 3 Nexari cruisers. Hidden among the Kuiper Belt's icy debris, converted mining ships had waited in perfect ambush positions, their primitive plasma cutters proving devastatingly effective against the Nexari's liquid metal hulls. Quantum communications disrupted. The panic in the crew's shared consciousness was palpable. We cannot establish contact with the destroyed vessels. Vextal's crystalline form pulsed with rage. These primitives were using technology so basic it was beneath their notice, yet somehow it was working. The Nexari fleet advanced cautiously now, their liquid metal hulls constantly shifting to adapt to this unexpected threat. But the mining ships were just the first surprise. As the Nexari fleet approached Neptune's orbit, they encountered a cloud of what appeared to be simple space debris. Their sensors dismissed it as irrelevant, until the cloud suddenly changed course, revealing itself as a swarm of miniature satellites. Each one was broadcasting on different frequencies, creating a cacophony of interference that fragmented the fleet's hive mind. They're using our neural scans against us, Vextal realized. The humans had known exactly which frequencies would disrupt Nexari consciousness synchronization. The fleet's greatest advantage, their unified thinking, was being turned into a weakness. The battle for the outer solar system quickly devolved into chaos. Nexari ships, used to fighting as a single coordinated entity, were forced to operate independently. Their liquid metal hulls, programmed to respond to collective commands, became sluggish and unresponsive. Then came the modified asteroid miners, hundreds of them. emerging from hiding places in the rings of Saturn and Jupiter. Their crude but powerful engines pushed them into suicide courses with Nexari vessels. The Empire's ships tried to dodge, but their sophisticated evasion algorithms failed against the simple, unpredictable trajectories of manually piloted vessels. "Fall back to primary formation," Vextal ordered, but the command reached only a fraction of the fleet through the electronic chaos. These primitives are using tactics that make no logical sense. The humans had turned their entire outer solar system into a deadly maze. Automated defense platforms hidden in Jupiter's radiation belts fired salvos of nuclear weapons. The attacks weren't meant to destroy the Nexari ships directly. Instead, the electromagnetic pulses from the explosions crashed their quantum systems, leaving the advanced vessels temporarily blind and deaf. But the true horror for the Nexari came when they realized what the humans had done to themselves. The neural scans from the horizon showed normal human biology, but the defenders they encountered on Mars were different. Many had undergone voluntary cybernetic modification, crude by Nexari standards, but effectively rendering them immune to telepathic control and neural scanning. "They've mechanized parts of their own brains," Xerex reported to the Empire's supreme consciousness. "Not for enhancement, but for protection against our abilities. They're deliberately degrading their own neural capabilities to resist us." The implications stunned the Nexari. Their entire civilization was built on the principle of ascending to higher forms of consciousness. The idea of a species choosing to simplify itself, to embrace crude mechanical solutions, was more alien to them than any biological difference. The asteroid belt proved even worse. The humans had transformed the entire region into a deadly game of three-dimensional chess. Mining outposts revealed themselves to be weapon platforms. Seemingly abandoned stations exploded into clouds of tungsten rods that shredded liquid metal hulls. Every asteroid large enough to hide a ship became a potential threat. But the most devastating weapon wasn't physical at all. It was psychological. The humans had learned to exploit the Nexari hive mind's greatest weakness, its inability to process chaos. "Listen to this," Dr. Marcus Wong told Admiral Chen, as they monitored the battle from Cirrus Command. He activated a captured Nexari communication device. The hive mind's usually crystalline thoughts were fragmented, confused, cannot predict, patterns invalid, humans not following tactical logic. Every adaptation creates new variables, cannot establish strategic consensus. The Nexari fleet's group consciousness, evolved for perfect coordination and logical decision-making, was being driven mad by human unpredictability. Each failed prediction, each illogical human victory, created feedback loops of confusion that rippled through their shared awareness. James thought of his sister Sarah, of her final transmission from the horizon. "They wanted to know how humans think," he said quietly. "They're finding out that we don't think like them at all." As the battle for the inner system reached its peak, the Nexari faced a terrible choice. Their fleet was being decimated not by superior technology, but by its opposite, humanity's embrace of crude, unpredictable, desperately innovative solutions. Every victory they had achieved using the Horizon's neural data had taught humans new ways to counter their technology. The final stroke came at Venus. The Nexari fleet, now reduced to less than 100 ships, attempted to use the planet's harsh conditions as cover for a final push toward Earth. They didn't realize that humans have been terraforming Venus for decades, not to make it habitable, but to make it a weapon. The planet's atmosphere, already a toxic soup of sulfuric acid and crushing pressure, had been seeded with engineered bacteria. As the Nexari ships descended, the bacteria responded to their energy signatures, releasing chemicals that turned Venus's clouds into an acid strong enough to dissolve even liquid metal. "We have become what they feared," James said as he watched the last Nexari ships dissolve in Venus's atmosphere. "Not an advanced civilization, but something they can't understand or predict. Something that turns their own superiority against them." The path to Earth was now clear, not of Nexari ships, but of humanity's illusions about its place in the cosmos. They had proven themselves not by matching the Nexary's advancement, but by embracing their own nature, adaptable, unpredictable, and willing to do whatever it took to survive. The supreme consciousness of the Nexary Empire had never known fear until now. The quantum reports from Earth's solar system defied all logic. Their invincible fleet, armed with technology centuries beyond human comprehension, had been reduced to scattered debris by creatures who still used combustion engines and binary computers. On Earth, Admiral James Chen stood in the rebuilt Horizon Memorial Plaza, watching the holographic display of the last Nexary ship fleeing the solar system. The victory had cost humanity dearly. Millions had died, colonies had been destroyed, and the scars of battle would mark the planets for centuries. But they had won, and more importantly, they had evolved. "Send the message," he ordered. Across the solar system, every surviving human transmitter activated simultaneously. The message was broadcast in all frequencies, from primitive radio waves to quantum channels. It wasn't a threat or a boast. It was a lesson. But the true horror for the Nexary came when they captured their first human pilot. They immediately attempted a neural scan, eager to understand how these primitives were achieving such impossible victories. What they found shattered their understanding of human psychology. The pilot was laughing. The neural scan revealed not fear, not desperate determination, but a fierce joy in the battle. The human's mind was filled with cultural memories of ancient warriors, of desperate last stands, of victory against impossible odds. They weren't just fighting. They were fulfilling a destiny written in countless stories of humanity overcoming superior foes. "They're enjoying this," Vextal transmitted to their remaining command staff. "Their neural patterns show pleasure in adapting, in finding ways to hurt us. Every victory we gained from the Horizon's data has taught them how to fight us better." The Nexary's sophisticated battle computers tried to predict human tactics, but they faced a fundamental problem. Human ships weren't being controlled by computers. Each vessel had a human pilot making split-second decisions based on instinct, emotion, and what they called gut feelings, concepts that were literally alien to the Nexary's logical minds. As the battle for the outer system reached its climax, Vextal was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. The Empire had started this war believing they were dealing with primitive beings who would be easily subjugated. Instead, they had awakened something ancient and terrible, a species that had spent its entire history learning to fight against superior forces, that had encoded the art of desperate warfare into its very culture. The outer solar system had become a graveyard of liquid metal ships, their advanced technology rendered useless by human ingenuity, and what the Nexary were beginning to recognize as perhaps the most dangerous weapon of all, human unpredictability. And this was just the outer defense line. As Vextal observed the remains of their once proud fleet, they realized with growing dread that the real battle hadn't even begun. Somewhere ahead, hidden in the asteroid belt and the inner planets, humanity was waiting with even more impossible surprises. The breaking point had been reached, not for humanity, but for the Nexary's assumptions about what primitive species were capable of. The Empire was about to learn that technology wasn't everything. Sometimes, the most dangerous enemy was the one who had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Mars glowed red in the distance as the remnants of the Nexary fleet regrouped. Of the original 1,000 ships that had entered the solar system, barely 300 remained. High Commander Vextal had been replaced after their failures in the outer system. The new commander, Warmind Xerex, had promised the Empire a swift and brutal end to this unexpectedly costly campaign. "These humans have exhausted their surprises," Xerex assured the fleet's consciousness. "Their neural scans show no knowledge of defenses beyond what we've already encountered." Admiral James Chen, watching from the command center beneath Olympus Mons, smiled grimly. The neural scans from the horizon were 6 months old. Humanity had learned a lot since then. "Execute Operation Sandstorm," he ordered. The surface of Mars erupted. Thousands of hidden ports opened in the red soil, releasing clouds of specially engineered nanites into the planet's already dusty atmosphere. These microscopic machines weren't sophisticated like Nexari technology. They were simple mechanical devices, designed to do one thing: multiply. As the Nexari fleet entered Mars orbit, their liquid metal hulls began to deteriorate. The nanites, drawn to the exotic metals by basic electromagnetic attraction, were literally eating their ships alive. Attempts to adapt by changing molecular structure only gave the nanites new materials to consume. Impossible. Xerex's thoughts radiated panic through the fleet's hive mind. Their technology is too primitive for this level of manipulation. But that was exactly the point. The nanites weren't advanced technology. They were simple machines operating on basic physical principles, multiplying using the very materials they consumed. The Nexari's sophisticated defenses were useless against such elementary attacks. The battle for Mars became a nightmare of attrition. Every Nexari landing attempt was met with devastating guerrilla attacks from underground bases. The humans had turned the entire planet into a fortress, using the natural environment as a weapon. Dust storms filled with corrosive nanites scored liquid metal hulls. Hidden electromagnetic pulse generators played havoc with Nexari quantum systems. To the Nexari Empire, you came to our home believing that technological superiority guaranteed victory. You studied our minds, but failed to understand our spirit. Every human child grows up hearing stories of underdogs defeating giants, of cleverness overcoming strength, of the impossible becoming possible through sheer determination. You tried to analyze our tactics, but you couldn't analyze our dreams. The message continued, transmitted in both human languages and the crystalline thought forms of Nexari communication. We could pursue you. We could use what we've learned to take the war to your worlds. But that's not our way. Instead, we offer you something your empire has never encountered before: wisdom from those you considered primitive. In the empire's core worlds, the supreme consciousness struggled to process this unexpected development. The humans were victorious. Why weren't they pressing their advantage? The neural patterns made no sense. The message provided their answer. Your empire's greatest weakness isn't your technology. It's your inability to understand that progress isn't always linear. While you focused on ascending to higher forms of consciousness, you forgot the value of simple solutions. While you sought perfect unity of thought, you lost the advantages of individual creativity. James touched the memorial plaque bearing his sister's name. We're keeping the weapons we've developed, and we'll make more. Earth's solar system will remain a fortress. But we're also reopening our borders for trade and cultural exchange. Your empire can choose: continue to view us as primitives to be conquered, or accept that different paths of evolution can lead to equal worth. Across human space, the changes wrought by the war were already becoming permanent parts of their civilization. The hybrid technology they'd developed, combining Nexari principles with human ingenuity, was being incorporated into everyday life. But unlike the Nexari, they maintained their diversity of approach. Some colonies embraced advanced quantum computing, while others preferred enhanced versions of traditional technology. Unity through diversity had become humanity's strength. The Phoenix ships, those hidden seeds of human survival, were repurposed for peaceful exploration, though they maintained their military capabilities. Each carried with them the lesson humanity had learned. True advancement came not from blindly pursuing technological superiority, but from maintaining the balance between progress and adaptability. In the decades that followed, the Nexari Empire underwent its own transformation. The defeat by primitives had shattered their assumptions about the nature of progress. Some Nexari began studying human culture, fascinated by the concept of individual innovation. Others sought to understand how their supposedly perfect hive mind could be overcome by emotional, unpredictable beings. The war that began with the Horizon's sacrifice ended not with the extinction of either species, but with a profound change in both. Humanity had proven that determination and ingenuity could overcome any technological gap. The Nexari had learned that true evolution meant more than just advancing along a single path. Admiral Chen's final transmission to the retreating Nexeri ships became known as the Horizon Doctrine. You thought you understood war because you had mastered the physics of destruction. But war, like all human endeavors, is shaped by something your sensors couldn't detect: the indomitable spirit of a species that refuses to submit, no matter the odds. As Earth's solar system began its long recovery, the debris of battle became monuments. The shattered liquid metal hulls of Nexeri ships were studied and repurposed. The modified mining vessels that had helped win the war were enshrined in museums. But the greatest memorial was the change in humanity itself. No longer native explorers, but not conquerors either. They had become something unique in the galaxy, a species that could face any challenge with both wisdom and determination. The stars above Earth seemed different now. They were no longer just points of light promising discovery, but reminders that humanity's greatest strength lay not in the technology they possessed, but in their ability to face the unknown with courage, creativity, and an unwavering will to survive. In the end, the Nexeri Empire had achieved its goal of understanding how humans thought. They had learned, through devastating defeat, that the most dangerous force in the universe wasn't advanced technology or perfect unity of mind. It was the unpredictable, indomitable, ever-adaptable human spirit.